I'm John Rosbeck with Studio 176, and today we have Kent Estey, our new artist here at the gallery.
So yeah, the original, that's not original, that's a print.
Which one?
The one that you said.
That's a print on metal.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason I like that is because it does something similar to that. It adds that extra pop of color, and I guess that's hopefully when I'm gone, that people remember me as someone that wasn't afraid to work with lots of color.
Kent is from Naytahwaush, Minnesota, which is northeast of Park Rapids, where the studio is. And we welcome Kent to our studio, and we have a few questions we'd like to ask. Kent, tell us about yourself and a little bit about your current work.
Well, I live and work on the White Earth Reservation. I've been on the same piece of property almost 62 years now, so I haven't gone anywhere. I was a full-time educator for 38 years, and now I'm retired and get to do my art full-time. So I'm excited about that, and I get to be a part of this wonderful studio. And it's a group of artists here in the Park Rapids area, so I'm really excited about that. My new work, my latest work, it's always changing. It's typically never the same, but I am working on a series right now, and it's all about celebrating summer. And they are acrylic pieces, they're contemporary abstract pieces. There's a couple of them in the studio that you'll be able to see, and most of the time I don't use a paintbrush on them. I simply use my hand and my fingers to do the painting. I think when I need inspiration for something besides just looking out my door is, when I go to water is really important. Native people are really drawn to the water. And that's why you have water protectors that are out there today. Water is extremely important to the native culture. And so just that reflection of color on water and peering into the water and all of that's Becky, I'll tell Becky is that we've got to go. We've got to go to the North Shore. And because I think that's a really spiritual place. And I said, I've got to be by the water, in a big body of water. And I see a lot and I take a lot from those experiences.
So why art, and when did you realize that you were an artist?
Why art? I grew up in a family of artists. Either you were a musician or you created black ash baskets, or you worked with birchbark. Those are very common in my area. I was the painter in the family, and I always thought about being a painter, always wanted to be a painter, but I grew up in a big family, and paint wasn't an essential in my family, and money was really tight, so I didn't have paint to work with, but I do remember mixing my own paint, and that consisted of mud. It was sand, dirt, water, and my canvas was the side of the barn. And so and I remember those days like today because I could see color, and I knew something was different about that. But I could only imagine as a child what it must be like to work with real color and have the tools of the trade, but also to be able to see real fine art. As when you live in Naytahwaush on the White Earth Reservation, there isn't a lot of opportunity to see art, and so I could only imagine going to museums and galleries and seeing real works of art. So it's always been in my background. It's always been a dream of mine, and now to be able to do this today, to be able to do this full time and follow this passion really is a dream come true. And I'm still that 6-year-old little boy painting the side of his barn because I've got lots to learn and lots to see. But the difference now is that I'm going to galleries in places like this to see my work. And so, it's come full circle. And I'm enjoying what I do today.
Awesome. What inspires you and your work, and what are some of your influences?
What inspires me the most is probably right where I live and work. In our little community of Naytahwaush, it's a small village, but it's a beautiful spot in the area. And so there's always a never-ending inspiration is everywhere I look. And especially with the lakes in the area, that's where I see the color, that's where I see the reflection, and a lot of times you'll see that in pieces of my work. So I guess my inspiration most times comes from nature and just what's around me. One of the most influencing persons or artists of my work is George Morrison, and I really like to talk about him if I can, just when I can, because his work was very non-traditional. He was a native artist from the Grand Portage Reservation, and his work was very contemporary, oftentimes abstract, and he used multi-mediums in his work. And I think he was the one, in researching his life, he was the one who ultimately gave me inspiration to paint what I paint today. If I hadn't read his work, I haven't read his books or read about him or seen his work, I wouldn't be painting what I paint today. He's the one that gave me the freedom to express my inner feelings. And like him, I really believe that if you honor how you feel and you express how you feel on the canvas or with paint or photography or whatever your art medium may be, that's the way you honor your spirit, and that's the way I believe I honor my Ojibwe heritage. These pieces here are more contemporary feel than I used to do. I used to do very, very traditional landscapes. I mean, Bob Ross was my best friend. And I did a lot of happy trees. And I did that for many, many, many years. And,
What is your creative process? What is your studio process? And when do you know your work is done?
Oh, those are all good questions. My creative process changes from day to day. It depends. I do have to be in the right mood to do what I'm doing. I've got to check myself, and I go through a series of questions all the time. And the first one is, should I paint today? That's the first one. And how do I feel? If I'm not in the right feeling at the moment, I don't even try, because it's a struggle. And so I don't paint every day, but I try to get into my studio and do something on a daily basis, whether I'm just prepping canvases or getting ready for potentially the next thing. Most of the time, I have a plan for what I'm going to paint. I have a few colors that I know I'm going to use, but a lot of times it just happens. And I think those are probably the most satisfying paintings, is when they just happen, those surprises. And because most of the time I couldn't plan out exactly what you see hanging on the wall today. It comes from a lot of places, and it depends on the brushes that I use. I think that the most enjoyment I have are working with really large canvas. And I mean, I should preface this by saying, 3 by 4 foot canvas is a lot of fun to work with. And then I can use a big brush. I can use a 6, 8, or 10-inch brush, and that's when the movement happens on my canvas. Okay, so it depends on the canvas size, and again, and how I feel.
Awesome. All right, here you go. Ready for this one?
Yep.
If you had a superpower, what would it be? Or what is your superpower?
My superpower. I have a superpower. I do. It's my wife. Now, I'm not saying that just to be safe, okay? So, it really is true, because she's the one that checks me. She will give me that check of, how are you feeling today? Is your mind going too many directions? Are you thinking 100 thoughts all at once? She's the one that will check me and say, how are you feeling today? And I know that, there's something going on, something's up, so I have to listen to that. So I think she grounds me. I really do. I think she's there to ground me, and ultimately, she's the first person that sees my work. It always has to pass through that Becky filter. It really does. I don't always trust her. So I don't always take her advice, because it is my work. But I like running it through her, and she'll spot things and she'll say, oh, that seems a little, what is that all about? Or you may want to think that color. But a lot of times it just happens. We work together. Everywhere we can go, everywhere we can be, we've always lived and worked together. We both taught in all the same schools. So wherever I go, Becky's there. She keeps me in check, checks my work, and she's my grounding, and that's really important.
Awesome. Any final thoughts for our viewing audience?
Just that, it's an honor. It really is an honor to be asked to be a part of this studio project. I was here a few years back at the Art League, and it was a wonderful opportunity to talk about my art, and meet the community. I didn't know that Park Rapids had this much art things going on. I just didn't know, and it wasn't until a few years ago that I learned to appreciate that and understand that better. So, I really want to be, I know I'm going to be welcomed in the community, but, I want to spend time talking with the community too. And that's the best part, is sharing your art. And so I'm looking forward to a wonderful season here at Studio 176. So my name is Kent Estey, and I live and work on the White Earth Reservation, and I'm proud to be a part of Studio 176 this season.